Another Mahsa Amini, 16-year-old Iranian girl in coma after assault by morality police. On October 1st, 2023, Armita Geravand, a 16-year-old Iranian girl, found herself in a coma after a reported altercation with hijab enforcement officials in a Tehran subway station. She was subsequently admitted to Fajr Air Force Hospital with significant head trauma. Official narratives assert she lost consciousness due to a sudden decrease in blood pressure. However, witnesses and other sources counter this, suggesting she was physically assaulted for not wearing her headscarf. Limited CCTV footage made public captures Armita boarding a train without her hijab and then being aided by passengers. Still, not all video recordings from the incident have been disclosed. Adding to the complexity of the situation, Armita's mother, Shahin Ahmadi, was detained near the hospital by security personnel on October 4th. Under duress, Shahin was seemingly forced to publicly attribute her daughter's condition to a drop in blood pressure. The family received warnings to keep Shahin's arrest quiet. This incident has magnified international scrutiny, emphasizing the rigorous enforcement of hijab mandates in Iran and intensifying concerns over potential human rights infringements. So, this is, I mean, obviously extremely distressing. I almost broke down in tears um, when I heard this story. Um, so to provide a bit more context, we have video footage of Armita and her friends entering this subway train in Tehran, and then we have footage shortly afterwards of her being dragged off unconscious, carried off by her friends, and there is reportedly supposed to be video footage in the train itself, but that footage hasn't been released. And eyewitness reports are saying that there was a woman in Chador that approached Armita and her friends and chastised them for not wearing hijab. At which point Armita basically said something along the lines of like, "I don't bother you. Why are you bothering me?" Blah blah blah. And the woman struck her. And as the woman struck her, she fell, and reportedly it seems that her head hit maybe a railing, or her head was struck by something on her way as she was falling, and then that's what caused her to fall into unconsciousness. um but Armin, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, or not even your thoughts. Like, I think you did a full stream about this on the Iranian side, and do you know if any more information has come out since then? Because I heard some reporting that she was basically being forced to be kept on life support by Iranian officials to avoid a Mahsa uprising situation. Um, but I don't know how true that is. So, what have you been hearing? What more details do you think you can give us?
Right. So first of all, this is her, right? Um, and okay, so this is the footage. They haven't released all the footage, which is why they have all the footage. And so here's the government is saying, oh, her blood sugar just dropped, and then she's now in a coma. Which is very bizarre for somebody like that young to something like this happening. Like, here's the thing: we're going based on um po- probabilities here. Like we don't have everything. Nothing is 100% certain. But given the government's history on what they have done before, given how much we know they lie, and given the fact that did not release the entire video, like they have no explanation for why they are giving us in cut pieces. Something, it seemed like it's very, very probably something happened here. We have eyewitnesses that came and said that there was somebody did a hijab enforcer came, and there was a physical, um, she was, pushed or beaten by a hijab enforcer. So there are claims, but these are all these are the information we have that makes us uh, not believe the government's narrative. The fact that there are, and was it the Guardian? I think the Guardian came and had verified that there were eyewitnesses that claimed that they saw a physical
And
interaction
sources from
between.
Iran Wire. And I find
Oh
Iran
yeah,
Wire to
Iran
be
was.
extremely reputable and credible.
Yeah, so we have that. We have the fact that the government is not giving us the full video, even though they have access to the full video. They are giving us bits and pieces, which they have no explanation for why they wouldn't give us the entire. Like, we can see exactly it's cut and then it goes to another part. What is happening in those cut areas, right? We also have the fact that all the girls here that were with her, with Armita, they were arrested immediately, and nobody was allowed to talk to them for a while until the government had the chance to tell them exactly what to say. We know that the parents of Armita were arrested. We know the journalists that wanted to go and talk to them were arrested. So yeah, excuse me if I don't buy the low blood sugar narrative for a young woman this age to be in a coma for that. Like, I mean, I know everything is possible, right? But what is a justifiable belief here is that she was beaten and her head hit something somewhere, and now that's why she's in the hospital. That is, even if that's not true, that is the justifiable belief given all the data that we have right
Yeah,
now.
given all the
Yeah.
shady business surrounding how they've been treating this, it would be more reasonable to believe that something shady happened than what they said happened. Like,
Yeah.
but what have you been seeing about in terms of a reaction to this? And I mean, obviously, I want her to wake up, but if she doesn't wake up, how do you think the public might react? Because I know the government is terrified of another Mahsa Amini.
I don't know. It's The government is way more prepared right now to deal with situations like this. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't know if they're gonna let her wake up. That's the problem people have. Like, even if she's in a coma right now. We saw pictures of her in the hospital. Let me just. But if if something else happened that the government doesn't want people to know, the question is if she's going to wake up at all. Like, let me see if I could get her picture.
But then at the same time, the government has an interest in just keeping her in a coma, like not letting her die, because then if she does die, then that's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, but I don't know. They can't do that forever. Let me see if I could
Yeah,
show you her pictures in the hospital.
it's so horrible.
Oh yeah, I found her picture. So yeah, this is her right now, right? Which is, like this is Mahsa. You see Mahsa Amini here, right? So this is Mahsa uh, a year ago. 1 year after this, we got Mahsa in the hospital, but before she died, and 1 year after we have Armita. Very similar situation. Very, very similar situation, which is bizarre that we're getting a repeat. And where he says America, it said Armita. God damn it.
Oh no, when I
Hmm.
saw that this happened, it just immediately brought me back to I remember I have such an explicit memory of exactly where I was when I found out that Masa Amini died because I had heard the news 3 days prior about her assault and that she was in a coma. And then I remember when I found out that she actually passed away. And I can't even describe how I felt. It's a level of horror at what has occurred and unspeakable disgust about what this was done for. Unspeakable disgust.
So look at her. Look, this is her. You see, this is her picture, and this is the hospital that she's now hospitalized in. Does she look like somebody that just goes in a coma from low blood sugar?
Well, without any history of diabetes that we've heard of so far, no.
Yeah. Also, this is her parents that are being forced by the government to give the government's narrative, and you can see if you listen to their when they come in front of camera and when they repeat the government's narrative, you can see in their faces that they're very uncomfortable about what they have to say. There's even sometimes there was even a video of the mother having somebody else next to her trying to explain to the camera what's happening, and when they talked about low blood sugar, you could see in her face the mother just going like this, as if she's so frustrated about what they are being forced to say. And now she's, even after repeating the government's narrative, the mother is now arrested. I mean, why is the mother arrested? I mean, why is the mother arrested? Like, if this was just, oh yeah, nothing to see here. This girl was just walking and low blood sugar, and now she's in a coma. And yeah, we arrested the mom. Why would the mother be arrested if this was just like a normal, like just a natural? And they don't tell us. Like, there's no transparent. There is no like independent from the government observer coming in and trying to analyze, like verify the narrative. Like, there's nothing like that. We don't have access to anything that comes in and tries to like, okay, people, you don't trust the government. We're a third party independent investigation unit or whatever, we're gonna go try. Like, no, they don't do that. Like, why do you not let people do that? If there's nothing to see here and you are telling the truth, then why are you everything behind closed door? Why is the entire hospital has security? Like, it's been turned into the government agents all around the hospital trying not to let the people in. If you have nothing to hide, give access to journalists and, I don't know, independent doctors to come verify what you're saying. Obviously, you have something to hide here. Like, they think we're stupid. Anyways.
Well, actually, I want to address a super chat by Secular Sakai, and it gives us an excuse to share some, well, what I view as good news. So, Secular Sakai, first of all, thank you for the $10 super chat. For everyone who doesn't know, super chats are some of the lifeblood, one of the main lifebloods of this show. So if you like this show and it brings you value, please send us a super chat and we'll address your comments. But anyways, Secular Sakai is saying, oh, if you covered in the news, could you please give your thoughts on Narges Mohammadi winning the Nobel Peace Prize? Some anti-regime friends in Iran still tell me that they think she is a communist/terrorist. Well, for those who don't know, recently, Narges Mohammadi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her activism in Iran against forced hijab and also her activism against the death penalty and executions in Iran. She has a death penalty abolitionist movement and group. And many people see this as a giant victory. And then other people had her trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons. Armin, what do you think about the accusations against her? I'll let you go first. I have my own personal opinions.
So here are a few things. First of all, she is somebody who has sacrificed so much for people's freedom in Iran. The thing that many people don't like about her is that she's a reformist, and she is she's not she's not a she's not somebody who's been fighting for the toppling of the regime in Iran. She's somebody who has been fighting on the basically within the already existing framework of the Islamic Republic of Iran. She's working with people who have been trying to change that. That's the accusation. She's also been okay. So there's some other accusations that I don't know. I haven't looked into it to see if it's true or not. So I'm not gonna repeat them here. But there are a lot of people that think that this is a distraction, that the West is betraying the Iranian people and supporting the Islamic Republic of Iran. And they just give this Nobel Peace Prize as a way to just be like, oh, we're doing our thing, but they're not doing the actual things that they're supposed to do. And you could actually see that in the narrative that of Reza Pahlavi's tweet. Do you want me to share that?
Oh, juicy. Sure.
Right. So here, Reza Pahlavi tweeted about this. Is so look how he's framing this. This is a lot of people who don't like, a lot of Iranian people who don't like this whole Nobel Peace Prize being given to her were very happy with the way Reza Pahlavi talked about this. So now maybe by reading that you could understand what the frustration here is. So Reza Pahlavi is saying Iranians are fighting for their freedom from the clutches of the brutal dictatorship of the Islamic Republic, as they have been for 44 years. From this regime's very first day, it has especially attempted to. From this regime's very first day, it has especially attempted to subjugate, control, and humiliate Iranian women. The Norwegian Nobel Committee awarding Narges Mohammadi this year's Peace Prize is a recognition of the woman life freedom movement and this national struggle for freedom. So first, I want to analyze the first paragraph. He's trying to what he's the way he's framing this is to not just celebrate Narges Mohammadi. So it's, if you just look at this without paying attention to the details, it seems like he's celebrating the award, but he's trying to recognize the entirety of the movement rather than just one person. So he's trying to shift the focus a little bit from Narges Mohammadi to all the people and to the movement itself, to woman life freedom, rather than just Narges Mohammadi. But then he goes, this is where it changes a little bit. He says, I hope that this award will encourage a shift in Western policy toward offering tangible means of maximum support for the Iranian people and their national revolution, and not serve merely as a symbolic gesture meant to deflect attention from appeasement of this criminal regime. So that's an accusation. When he says I hope, he's not actually saying I hope. He's saying he's making an accusation here that this is meant for deflecting attention, right? A lot of people who supporters of Pahlavi were very, very happy with this tweet, and they thought it was very strategic, right? And then it says the fight for freedom fighters and political prisoners like Mrs. Mohammadi, Fatima Seperi. See, this is another thing she did. He's putting other names next to her name, and people say these are actual barandos people, actual people who want the toppling of the regime, that he tried to put next to her name as people who are worthy of recognition, especially like Fatima Sepehri, right? Manucher Bakhtiari, Tumash Salehi, Nahid Shipishe. I hope I'm reading it right. Shipishe, yes. And so many others will continue until Iran's liberation. So it's like he's using this opportunity. So these are like, Fatima Seperi and Tumar Salehi. Like these are people who are no for negotiations with the Islamic Republic, no for any kind of reform. Only like the only thing they want is the toppling of this government. So he's putting these names as a way to balance the recognition of people who deserve so that it's not just about her. But that's how people are analyzing this tweet. So what do you think about that?
This issue made me very angry, so I don't know if I can articulate myself well. I don't know. I just feel, and maybe my opinion would change if I had more information, but seeing the way that Twitter reacted to this news, or Iranian opposition Twitter reacted to this news, I just kept thinking about how purity testing
Mm.
is to the destruction of the opposition movement. And this is
Yeah.
how left and liberal leaning causes continue to fail, because we do moral purity testing instead of coalition building. No one is going to be perfect enough. No one is ever going to be perfect enough. So what is better? That you have would you rather have an imperfect ally or an enemy? And the problem that I see across the world with left movements, left leaning movements, liberal movements, is that progressive movements in particular, people would rather make an imperfect ally an enemy than just have an imperfect ally. And that's to their own destruction and to the
Yeah.
destruction of their own cause. And that
Yeah.
applies to many different movements.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people seem to be attacking her. Like, I would kind of understand, like, maybe saying like we love, thank you for all you do. We have some criticisms, but we also value your activism. But the fact that there are so many people just attacking her, um,
The
a woman
level of
who like
vitriol I saw on Twitter was crazy. It disgusted me. For a woman that has given up as much as she has given, what she has
yeah,
faced, what she has exposed within Iranian
mm,
prisons, to speak up for
she's
other
been
Iranian women that are abused in the most barbaric of ways. Give me a break.
she's she's been in solitary confinement in prison for a very long time. She has gone the mental torture. I don't know if people understand. So she has children. She spends most of her life in prison, years of her life in prison. And she explains, like, when she was in solitary confinement in prison, she kept on, every time when she would sleep, she would see her children coming to her and kissing her and hugging her. And every time she would wake up and she realized that that's not a real picture, that wasn't a real thing, it would be crush her. Like, every time she would wake up to realize that she's in prison and her children are not next to her, it will burn her up from the inside. Like, I don't know if people understand what a nightmare that is, to know that every year is going by and your children, you as a mother, are not with your children because of the things that you have done. That level of sacrifice is insane, right? And I mean, she might have certain values and ideals that are not completely in line with us, right? With a lot of us, um, especially given that her and her husband seem to be more focused on some Islamic narratives, right? But but she's doing this for the sake of the people of her country. I mean, that is, you could
Most of these
that
people
deserves.
saying disgusting things about her on Twitter would never be willing to do what she has done for the sake of her nation, as evidenced by the fact that they're sitting on Twitter criticizing her.
Right.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, we got a couple other super chats. Do you want to address those before we go to?
Yeah. Shika gave us a super chat and says she is a Western puppet, Islamist fanboy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very hilarious to see how Islamists love to totally just remove any autonomy from yeah, liberal minded people in any country around the world, as long as they're not quote unquote Western. If they have any sense of liberalism in their body, then they just have no autonomy and they're a complete puppet. And it's kind of funny
Yeah.
because that's a narrative I also hear from a lot of anti-imperialists. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
I forgot to mention something. I do think the Iranian opposition is very, very divided,
Yeah.
and there is no chance that they will succeed with this much division, like, until they figure out some way to work with each other. Like, there's too much infight. There's way too much infighting. I mean, there's the level of as bad as the Islamic Republic is, with this level of immaturity among the people who are against the Islamic Republic, it's just so hard to see us get to a place where we could show to the world that we have a meaningful alternative to the Islamic Republic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
Seth is celebrating his membership for 11 months. Thank you, Seth. Saying, heathens, remember to like and share the stream. Yes, please. I know a lot of people, like to see the news unpacked. They like to have fun with us. I know I'm angry today, but it's because I care about the world. And I have some indignation, okay, with the forces that want to remove freaking humanity from us. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for supporting the show with your membership. Animation also gave us a super sticker. Thank you, Animation. Engaged American gave a $2 super chat saying, do you think purity of thought creates leftists? I think purity of thought creates fascists. Purity of thought creates fascists, and this is why any ideology which purports to create a utopian society is inherently anti-human. There will never be a utopia. We will never live in a perfect society with complete lack of inequality and complete lack of harm. It's impossible. Why is it impossible? Because it's against our fundamental nature as imperfect human beings. These little strange creatures crawling all over this earth. So everyone needs to be prepared and keep their eyes wide open to any person or ideology which claims to have a perfect solution, because the only way to ensure a perfect solution is to remove our fundamental human nature. So it will always result in a campaign of terrorization to remove any imperfections from the humans under that system. And this is why we see, for example, communist regimes behave the way that they do, because they're fundamentally anti-human, because they're perfectionistic, idealist, and utopian. It's a danger to human life. And I'll just leave it at that.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.